Today's audiobook, number 2 for the year, is Behemoth by Joshua Freeman. Now, this is an interesting take. I've come across this one. I figured I'd give it a good listen. Please like and subscribe, and please let me know if this episode, I'm making some changes. I hope they improve the quality and the consistency of these episodes. This audiobook, we had a great history, the retelling from the beginning of the industrial age, the first factories made, all the way up to the present day, and goes over a variety of each. Let's get right into this. So he goes through what's the hopes and dreams of the factory. So everybody in this factory has this magical life. You have jobs, you have stability. They come in from the countryside in order to stay in this kind of factory life. Some places were a really nice place to work compared to where they were, but still the living conditions and the working conditions were not the best. Definitely will say that. Some of them ended up being squalorly, just disease-ridden places. Other ones kind of kept up, and depending on what company they worked for, or what, some of these were really bad and some of them were okay. But some of them were a lot better than the places they come in from this country, where there was no work, there's no food, there's no way to get by and make a living. In this book, he really goes through the hopes and the dreams of each particular person that ends up in living and kind of developing and learning in this particular factory environment. They really have their hopes, their dreams, and their nightmares. Sometimes going through large industrial accidents, or some things happen, the working conditions they were under on a daily life. Some of them great, other ones not so much. But they go through, was it worth it? Was this kind of decay of the everyday life worth it for everything you see around you? I don't know. That's really a question that each one of us will have to answer. He really goes into how these behemoths, these large companies and factories, kind of made and shaped the world around us. They shaped the individual, how we worked, what times he got up, what times he ended up having to go to work. Otherwise, they just go in whenever they had to or whenever they needed to, right? But now you have a set schedule. When do you have to be here? All these things regulate how many people after work. They all have to start at this time, eat at this time, break lunch at this time, go home at this time. Everything was very routinized, and they needed a lot of different things to make this viable for this large amount of people. So they really started this out in the England factories, the textile factories. They started in England, all these different textile factories making and supplying goods to basically all of Europe. Then they took those models and they brought them over to America, New England, Massachusetts, and they kind of saw this as the dawn of new factories, a new era, these utopia places where they grew all the materials and everything they need. They manufactured all these textiles, which, albeit, were much better places off over a lot of the factories in England, but there was definitely a lot to be desired. Now, where exactly are behemoths now? We have China, we have Vietnam manufacturing almost all of our consumer goods, from your cell phones to the seats you sit on to desks, chairs, lamps. Just about everything gets manufactured overseas. All the materials shipped there, then we get the material back, shipped to our phones, our cars, no matter what it is. Those parts were probably made somewhere else. Another thing Freeman goes through is really these factories kind of see these dark fears that we had. So everybody's replaceable. So after a while, we have these workers that were trained in this, and for a time, once that product or service is done, you no longer need it, they'll either replace the workers, get new, younger people in there, whatever's cheaper. All these textile mills in England really started off or supplied almost everything. So you have your textiles in England, then you come to America and the textile revolution there. We have all those manufacturing of the large goods, from trains to steel, giant ships. Then we have the whole Soviet Union trying to catch up as quickly as it can with all these manufacturing of large goods in order to supply this growth for their country. Then all of those jobs end up going over to China and Vietnam, and you have a little bit of India for outsourcing on particular projects, but not really covered in this book. All these things eventually replace one after the other. You have these giant booms in the bust of these individual kind of industrial working places. Now we have different busts of kind of the labor, mind, capital working, all kinds of different things growing up and down. But these giant factories are, one, feasible, and two, are they required for just general living? Is it better that we made these giant factories, or is it worse? Have we helped society, or we hindered it by giving it all of these luxuries that cost things and just destroy entire ecosystem? All the plastics that develop, all the waste, the electronic goods that are just smashed and left to the side will never degrade and go away, because I mean most of them are plastic and sand and glass. What's going to happen to them? Nothing. Whether in the future we'll come up with some kind of way to recycle all this, who knows? But is it worth it? Does it come down to it? And I would have to say, you don't know. I like the things that are around me. Do I think they could be made better and cheaper and more friendly to the environment? Yes, of course. But will they do that? I don't know. It comes to the point where kind of the point of no return, whether we do it or we don't do it. That will depend on whether our species survives or not. No book answers all questions, but a well-written one will get you a long way to be answering one of the biggest questions we have in our times. And I think this one goes a long way in that pursuit. Thank you very much. This has been Neko Nation Japan. Jeremy saying sayonara.